This is the location of the former Osthofen concentration camp. This building dates to around 1872, possibly a little bit earlier, and it was a cardboard manufacturing facility. Business grew until such times as the Depression of 1930 hit, and in 1931 it went bankrupt and the building became empty. The Nazis were able to acquire this building because of alleged debts of the company that had previously owned it. Now, it does say up there the Möbelfabrik, and this is possibly the reason, or one of the reasons why it's managed to survive, because it was used after the war as a furniture factory. Now, when the Nazis seized power, a number of on the initiative of a number of local people, local Nazis, concentration camps were set up to house their political opponents. And what they did in this area, so the Worms area, they rounded up people, above all communists, but there were also people from the Social Democratic Party. There was even members of the Zentrum who were held here. And it might be worth reminding people that the Zentrum actually voted, or politicians, the MPs, voted for the Enabling Act, which effectively brought about the arrest of their local supporters in places like this. So this was set up by Werner, who was later in charge in Denmark. It was Werner Best who 10 years later was the person who allowed, to a certain extent, the Jews to escape from Denmark. And then he turned around and said, well, Denmark's now free of Jews because they were allowed to escape. But 10 years earlier, he was in charge, he was the commissioner, I think that's the right word, for the Hesse region. Here we have what became an Appellplatz. We have a building on the right, so prisoners were housed, I think it was on the first floor here. I'm not going to go in here because this is an excellent exhibition here, really good. And I would even go so far as to say of the photographs which are there, at least one third, I'd never seen before. So it's absolutely great, but I'm not going to film it because there may be some copyright reasons not to, unless I get permission. This is a place where prisoners were housed, so empty halls like this possibly had machinery in them before 1930s. You can imagine you have been forced to sort of sleep in a place like this. At least in May, of course, it was warm. May of 1933 when the place was set up, and but I suspect it did look something similar. Eventually they found some straw for the prisoners to sleep on, and then they dismantled wooden structures, furniture and the like, and made beds out of that. But this is very much, bear in mind, it's not organized. It's on the initiative of local Nazis who want to get revenge on their political opponents. One of the very first prisons here was a Jewish lawyer who had actually defended people from the left in disputes with Nazis. He managed to escape from here, but he was captured in 1942 in Marseille. I think he was murdered of 1945. Can't remember his name at the moment, but I'll put that when I do a proper documentary video. I'll put it in. In this corner, a kitchen was set up. Now, this is another problem here, that prisoners didn't have food provided for them at the beginning. It was because they just rounded them up, no organization, just found a place to put them, and then to sort of torture their prisoners. When I say torture, it's normally sort of the insults. There may have been beatings, taking them out, making them do work which was often completely pointless, pseudo work, let's call it, and but no organization. So anyway, after a while they realized that they had to feed the prisoners, so they, in that corner down there, they set up some cauldrons which had been previously used for washing clothes. Now the buildings themselves, I really am quite impressed at how the good condition that they're in after all these years. To think that this was built more than 150 years ago, and it's obviously been repaired and all the rest of it, but I'm very impressed. Okay, so here was the Appellplatz, which was used until the summer of 1933, before it was moved to the place at the entrance. So they could have as many as 400 prisoners actually here at any one time. Now, it might look easy to sort of just on the other side of the wall, get over the wall, but you know, the guards had guns, and they were prepared to use extreme violence on those that attempted to escape. Now, it's worth pointing out this was a concentration camp. Like now, I've done many videos at Sachsenberg, for example, which was a concentration set up at more or less the same time as this one was, although that's a few hundred kilometers from here. This concentration camp, nobody was murdered. Many of the people who were here ended up being murdered by the Nazi system, but they weren't actually murdered here. So that's a sort of a brief walk around right now. There's a gate there which I think was probably put there back when in the furniture factory days. So an early concentration camp. Now I'd like to do a longer video. Thing is, I've got a normal job to do and I'm in transit at the moment, and I just thought I'd be able to come here. I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting an exhibition like they have here. The exhibition is really very, very good. I can't think of a better exhibition anywhere than the one that is here. So they've done a very good job on that. I'd also hope I'll be able to do some videos on some of the people here. One of them, Carl D'Angelo, he was the first commandant, and he was a person who didn't want to use violence on the prisoners, so he was replaced. But later, 1945, D'Angelo was one of those people alongside Drauser in Heilbronn, after the bombing of Heilbronn, and then using violence, extreme violence, on those who tried to surrender. He was killed probably just before the end of the war. Anyway, I'd like to look at him because he's a local person from here, from Osthofen, and to look at his career and what he did earlier. Okay, good. So there's a brief thing. Thanks for watching.